Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Longplay Club. This is part 4 for Batman Arkham City. Last time you saw us, we have finished the main playthrough, the main game of Batman Arkham City. And today we're here for a little bonus edition, a downloadable content, downloadable podcast episode. My name is Christian Buckley. I am joined by the Longplay Club, myself, Jack Martin. How are you doing?
Hello. Happy Halloween. Is this going up around Halloween? Now that I'm thinking about it.
Maybe? No. Week after. We're in November. No. Is it November yet? What's the first Monday of... No, this is Halloween, I think.
Yeah. Monday the 31st. Happy Halloween.
I'll be at Regal watching Spirited Away.
Ooh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Fathom event nationwide.
Can I tell you a Spirited Away story real quick?
You sure can.
I went to see Princess Mononoke, and for that Fathom event, and they started playing Spirited Away.
Whoa.
And they eventually, someone went and got it and like changed it. But my thinking was the projectionist was like, I don't know, this is all the same fucking shit. Just put it on. But eventually we saw Princess Mononoke.
And Omar rounds us out. You'll be the one seeing the Fathom event. Are you excited?
Yeah.
It sounds like.
I'm very excited to see the Fathom event. I went last year, but my friends wanted to see the dub. But now I can finally get back to the sub, which is real cinema. The dub's great. I'm sorry.
Well, I just looked at a quick calendar. This is actually coming out the day before Election Day. So Halloween was the finale episode for Arkham City. The DLC is the day before, futures change.
I forgot we're so backed up.
I know, yeah. But this is a more casual, more chill episode. We are going over the Harley Quinn's Revenge DLC that was released. This was 2011 this came out, or this was 2012? I think we said it was 2012.
2012, yeah. It was in I think it was like May. It was like in the spring of 2012.
Okay, cool. Yes, that would make a lot of sense then, because this came out Arkham City in October of 2011. So took a page out of the Marvel's Avengers book, Jack, and did not release a piece of content until the new year. But this was my first time playing it, so I can't really give a pre-existing, anecdote about my history with this thing. I knew it existed. I wasn't sure what the revenge was about, outside of, Joker being dead. Because I remember, again, we talked about it last episode, the big theory was about, the pregnancy thing. I don't know if she was like, our child won't have a father because of you sort of thing, and that's why she was pissed off. But, yeah, I never got around to playing it, and for some reason, every time I replayed Arkham City, which is pretty frequently, I had never dabbled in this. But the two of you have played this before, so Omar...
I haven't.
Oh, you haven't? This is your first time?
Or maybe I didn't. I really just forgot it, but I jumped into this thinking I was playing as Harley Quinn.
Okay.
Oh, what? Why didn't you guys play this?
I don't know.
That's so curious to me.
I think I often skipped DLC back in the day because by the time it came out, I was done with the game, and then I never picked up a remaster of this. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is similar to Omar. I really didn't play DLC much during the PS3 gen. I would get map packs for some games. I played Undead Nightmare for Red Dead, but I don't know what I mean, I didn't buy digital games that frequently because most of the time I was doing trade-ins and I didn't want to trade in for credits, so I just didn't really buy DLC with funds ever.
Yeah. No, and I couldn't use mom's credit card.
Yeah,
I didn't
same.
have one of those.
Yeah, same.
It was tough for me to get digital games.
Yeah.
Damn, I was buying Microsoft points left and right.
Yeah.
Just plugging those babies in, playing Vietnam, Battlefield Bad Company Vietnam. I know, Christian, that bricked your PS3.
Yes, it did.
Unfortunately. Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. That's gold standard of DLC right there. A lot of great Fallout DLC.
Mm-hmm.
You're missing out on some good ones. There are some really great ones.
But in the case of Fallout DLC, how do you even jump back into that game and then play the DLC later on? Because sometimes, honestly, the thing with being a DLC is I just didn't know how to access it.
Yeah.
Like Dark Souls has that same shit, where it's like, where the fuck do you find like that Artorias shit? I don't know.
Yeah, like because this was all around the same time, right? This is really when DLC began popping off, and I remember back then like being aware of it because of mainly the Red Dead stuff with Undead Nightmare. There was also like pre-order DLC bonuses, like that stuff. I was like, if that was involved, I had the ability to do it, right? But yeah, for like expansion packs or anything along those lines, I really didn't ever touch it unless it was included in a Goaty pack. But yeah, that's a weird time. Very, very different era for video games. And Jack, I guess since you have experienced this, what is your memory of the DLC? Is it something you've enjoyed historically? Have you replayed it often? Let's just hear what you got to say about this.
Well, I insinuated that you guys are crazy for never playing this, but in actuality, this is a pretty darn important piece of DLC that was released. I think I played it through once, and I enjoyed it for what it was at the time. And I don't even think I revisited it when I got the Return to Arkham collection, like 2019. Went through and like platinumed both games. I cleaned up the trophies this go around, but yeah, I didn't even get any trophies for when I played it in 2019, so I must not have revisited it then.
Are there trophies in it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like 5 missable trophies, really annoying. Even though it's like a, 1 to 2 hour long DLC, some annoying trophies in here. But yeah, there's like, I don't know, 10 maybe.
Yeah, I looked at the list, right, because I have the Arkham City Platinum, and I'm typically not annoyed. Like I know it can be very annoying for people, but if I get 100% completion in a trophy list, or if I get a platinum, and then DLC comes out, and then it's like, oh, but that percentage is gonna be down to like 65. Like I forget what game it is that I'm like almost done with, percentage wise, but you wouldn't think I am because of I think it might be Arkham Knight actually, because Arkham Knight has a shit ton
Yeah.
of DLC.
There are some games that you'll platinum it and like years later you'll be at 50%.
Dude,
Like Rocket League is something ridiculous.
Yep.
Arkham Knight's probably like that. Yeah,
Final
it's
Fantasy
bad.
15. I platinumed it, but I have 44% on the trophy. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a wild time, and this is one of those instances where I do have that Arkham City Platinum, and because of the Nightwing challenges, the Catwoman challenges, Robin or Riddler's Revenge, and the Harley Quinn DLC, because I'm pretty sure all of those have their own trophy lists. Um, yeah, I'm down to like 60%, I think, on completion for this game, but
Grueling.
yeah,
It's grueling.
so
So platinum?
no,
Okay.
yeah, the way some of these work is like, what do they usually give you, Jack? A gold for beating the DLC, or is it a silver?
Yeah, DLC is like the gold is the platinum essentially. Um, they're throwing you bones. That's pretty much what they're doing.
While we're on the topic of trophies and bad trophy lists, I am replaying Resident Evil 4 right now, the HD version, and that is a crime that that game doesn't have a platinum. It has
Yeah,
a gold
does
tropy.
not.
It makes no sense.
Yeah,
The PS4 version?
yeah, there's no platinum.
That's kind of good. They're trying to make you buy the remake. That was all part of their plan.
It must have been, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Remember Ground Zero doesn't have one either. Fuck that.
Oh, that was awful, dude.
Yeah.
That was the first Metal Gear where I got all the trophies. And it's hard. It's hard
Yeah.
to do. Any Metal Gear is, and no platinum. Very tough.
Bummer.
very unfortunate. But you know what's not that unfortunate? Playing this the week that Gotham Knights launched, because I was like, you know what? This was solid. I had a good time with this. I was playing this with Rob for a little bit. He played fun. I liked how he controlled, and I knew how he controlled because, I've done some of his combat things, but this is a pretty breezy DLC. It's pretty brief, like you said, Jack. I think it took me. I did pause for a bit to like eat dinner, but I think it probably took me total 50 minutes to get through. I was kind of going pretty brisk. I did it right after we recorded the last episode, but yeah, it did not really take that long at all. I did hit a wall at some point in terms of like where am I going, but we can save that for a bit. Omar, general experience with you. How did you fare? like scope wise? Did you think it
Yeah.
lived up to what you were expecting it to?
Um. Yeah. Again, I said this before, but I really didn't know anything about it. I thought I was gonna play as Harley Quinn,
Hmm.
and that was not the case. I was playing as Troy Baker Robin, which is funny in hindsight, I guess. I
Yeah.
can't believe some of the roles he used to do. Um. But yeah, I don't know. I thinking about the conversation we were just having about like why did we skip DLC? I think I think most of it back in the day used to kind of be bad probably, and that's why I kind of must have disregarded it. And I think I was probably right. It's not like it's terrible, but it just it feels like it doesn't add anything to the experience.
Hmm.
Had an okay time playing it. Don't really have much that I thought of. Honestly, first impression I had was Kevin Conroy's voice,
Yeah.
which was strange to me. It's him, right? In this, it's they didn't get someone else for the DLC. Okay, well, he sounds a lot more somber in this, a lot more depressed. And I mentioned it to you guys, and I think we're just imagining it's because he's depressed about his like the Joker dying, right?
Yeah, that
Okay,
I feel like he probably feels like a very weird, odd sense of guilt.
yeah,
It like not really sure how to feel about it, and I think that's what he's dealing with. Like, yes, it's a good thing that the Joker's dead, but also at the same time, probably feels like an odd sense of guilt of like
Hmm.
in some way contributing to his death.
do you think he feels worse about that or Talia?
Honestly, didn't even consider Talia.
Okay, yeah, me neither.
Because I feel like in the lineage of Batman, like the Joker means more to him than Talia. So
Uh-huh.
like they do mention it. I think Barbara says like he hasn't said anything since Joker or Talia,
Yeah,
and I think they included Talia because like me, people probably forgot about her because she was like a footnote in that game,
yeah.
pretty much. Um, she's a part of those feelings, I think, but honestly, I think it's mostly because of the Joker.
Yeah. I think that's what it is too, and I did notice that as well. I wrote down punished Conroy because it's just, speaking of Metal Gear, just thinking about like that self-loathing sort of thing. Where I mean, like in Metal Gear, it has a completely different context, but like like especially like with a different voice direction. But here, I did notice it. I did have the exact same thoughts of like he's dealing with a loss that he doesn't know how he should be feeling about it. So I do think it was cool. It was definitely intentional and weird. It was jarring at first because I was like, I've played this game so many times. And maybe he sounds different in Arkham Knight, but this sounds like it was recorded in different parts of his career. Like it was
Yeah.
that different to me.
I thought at first like, is this a different studio?
Yeah, like is
Like I
it a
couldn't
different
figure it out.
room?
Yeah.
It was
I think
it was weird.
that's probably my favorite thing about this DLC. It really doesn't dive into it really at all. It's pretty surface level. You're kind of just inferring his feelings from the voice direction. But I think that's probably my favorite part of the DLC is like him with the aftermath of dealing with the Joker, like him clearly being affected by it, even like in a subtle way like that, like the change of his voice. But that was probably my favorite part.
I
Uh,
agree with that. I think it's pretty cool. And I really got into it after I figured out. I think it's 'cause I texted you guys, but at first, again, I was really just unsure like how this was happening. But no, it's neat. It's neat.
it is interesting because they hold off on showing you Batman for a little bit, right? It's probably like the first 15, 20 minutes. It's like you're like aware that Batman hasn't come home. It's been was it 2 days or 2 weeks since Arkham City happened?
2 days, I think.
2 days.
I
Or
think
I
so.
feel like it was 2 weeks and Batman hadn't showed up for 2 days when the
Okay,
DLC started.
Okay.
that sounds
I
right.
think that's what it was.
So we pick up with Tim Drake on the comms with Oracle. He's flying through over to the steel mill. I don't think you can leave this area. I didn't try that, but the map did look like it was just isolated to the steel mill and like where Bane kind of is. Um, so yeah, Controller Robin feels a little bit different, not drastically, but I do like how his staff is animated at least. Like I do think it adds a little bit of difference in feeling between the two characters. Like we talked a lot in Arkham City how Batman and Catwoman feel pretty distinct, and Robin being his apprentice, you would imagine it feels closer. But I think they do a decent job with his his toolkit and his just basic abilities to make him feel a bit more distinct. Like I love the fact that when you do the L2 triangle to do the back claw, instead of you pulling it to them, you pull your no, instead of you pulling them to you, you pull yourself to them and do like the kick. That's really cool. And, you know, that feels like a more agile Spider-Man-y Robin type move. So I do like how they make him feel distinct that way. But did
Yeah.
any of those encounters or abilities or gadgets stand out to you, like that fucking shield?
Shield, the shield is kind of gimmicky, but cool in a sense. Like I love shield bashing. Like if you do right trigger twice, you just like fling some guy across the room. That's fun. The zip kick, like what you're saying, Christian, very fun. I also love just aiming that at a like hook on the wall, and like it makes no sense to be able to do that, but you just like fling yourself like completely horizontally toward it. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And the I think it's the snap flash. You can like put that on like there's only one instance of it in the DLC, but you can put it on like a hook. It'll like go next to a guard and you um, destroy it, and then it'll knock him out. I thought that was cool.
Actually, I don't know if games have just made me stupid now, and this was what I wanted to bring up, right? Because um, Arkham City, I'm curious how it would have been like if I was playing that for the first time when we did it just now, and like I just know where everything is now, so it's very simple for me to navigate. But like this was new to me. All of this was completely inexperienced. So with his gadget, the snap flash thing you were talking about, um, I missed the dialogue or the little blurb of like how to use it. So I was just like in that combat encounter getting shot up, trying to be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what do I do? And I just let myself die and reset it. And then when I had control of Batman and I had to go around and like figure out how to get into one of these places or like what to do after the initial visit indoors, I was like, I went through all these hallways. Where do I go? I have to go back outside. Like, I don't know if it was just me being dumb or what, but I feel like it was very difficult to have a better sense of direction this time around. And maybe that's just a problem with Arkham City and I knew it before. But Omar, did you have any experience like that in here with navigation at all?
Not necessarily the mill. I had problems with trying to track down the three people to interrogate later on.
Mm-hmm.
There was one guy in particular I kind of had an issue with. But no, I was really smart and intelligent throughout this sequence. I'm sorry. I think I was fine. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I did get lost a lot in Arkham City though. To be fair, so perhaps I managed to get the layout through trial and error. But
Yeah, I'll say that part you're talking about, Omar, with the like the outdoor part where you're playing as Batman. My least favorite part of this DLC is there are way too many armed guards outside.
yeah,
Like usually you're running around Arkham City and it's like a few armed guards on some roofs and like everyone else on the ground is unarmed. Everyone outside has a gun. So like you'll be flying around and like just be shot at all the time. So that I didn't love.
I definitely like tried to like get all the snipers out beforehand, but it was
Yeah.
definitely fucking.
I also
I hate
think,
when they.
yeah, just
No, you go ahead.
to add on to that, the thing with the snipers, right? Like, again, this could just be me being difficult, but I was trying to like figure out which one was the undercover Harley Quinn intelligence guy, and I was trying to remember like Riddler guys in Detective Vision will still like pull screen, right? I'm not misremembering that.
No, they will.
Were these guys pulsing white? Because I did not notice anything. I'd have to toggle it on and off.
Yeah, they were pulsing white, and I think you either saw it way more visibly in detective mode or without it. But sometimes you could see it easier. Sometimes I don't know what was going on with the visual effects, but it was very hard to see. Like the third guy, kind of in the middle-ish top of the map, that guy was hard to spot, especially because also there's like verticality there. You just can't. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like I could see it fine when I was not in Detective Vision, right? But I was just trying to figure out like tracking the other. I usually keep it on if there's guns, just to like track who's like where, location wise, so I just have a good sense of where I am. But keeping that on, I was like having to toggle it because I was like, okay, well, there's a bunch of dudes with guns here. Like, I don't know which one to not knock out. And then
Did you ever knock one out?
I think there was one I had to do. Yeah, it was the one with
Okay.
the great roof that they could see through. I think I had to redo that
I
one.
see. Okay, so it's like a fail state. Is that what happens?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, um, one thing I did like in the initial interior that I wrote down, I thought this was a reference to Batman Begins, and it's definitely not. But you know how you can like get a little bit of world building through the radios. I think there's two instances where you can hear them. The first being um, Robin, I think, going through after you see Harley the first time, you get to go to that little shack and you can hear some radio stuff, and you hear like Gordon talking to Vicky Vale about everything that's going on. Um, and Gordon's first line is like, "The situation here is ongoing." And then I was like, that's like in Batman Begins, the guy that's like, "The situation is ongoing." And then I was like, kept thinking about it because I was like, I know that line. And I was like, wait, no, that's when he throws the thing at the investigation board. He says the investigation is ongoing. So no Batman Begins reference, but
But perhaps a
but
Dark Knight reference at one point. No, I. If we're just jumping, at some point when Robin apprehends Harley Quinn, I think she says, "Let me go," and he says, "Okay then," which is just like when Batman tells the Joker to let her go. I think it's about Rachel or something in the
yeah,
Dark Knight. I don't know, but Joker's like, "Poor choice of words," ha, and drops her or something. Right?
Yep.
Isn't that what happens? Okay,
yeah. So I thought that was a funny Easter egg, but no, it's not. That one
it
might be
could be.
though. The Joker one might, or not Joker. The Harley Quinn Robin one sounds like it might be, but um, I'm looking at my notes right now. I wrote down all caps night night. Does Batman say that when he like destroys somebody? Because I thought that was funny.
Did he?
Oh,
I think he
the
did.
he's very brutal with those interrogations.
That's what it was. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like he's an asshole in this game.
Yeah,
We said that before in City, but
Mm.
maybe even more so in this DLC because he's really going through it.
yeah,
But he is not kind to those guys.
yeah. I think that's what it was. It was the final like interrogation guard for the Harley thing. I like beat him up, and he was like, "Don't hurt me," and he was like, "No promises," and he said his
Yes.
everything, and then he was like, "Night night," and then he, hit him with the the fucking
Nope.
elbow.
Wow.
He sounds straight up evil in this one.
Yeah. Which
Damn. I skipped
Yeah,
all
go ahead.
those
really?
because you can just like hit circle and just skip through. That's like what I do with all the Riddler stuff in the
Mhm.
main game. So I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, I forgot that you
Well,
could
if you hadn't
skip.
skipped it, I think you'd realize that the Batman and Joker are a lot closer to each other than you might once think.
Yeah,
You know,
you know,
they're maybe two sides of the same coin.
that's what Rocksteady's telling in their Batman stories. How many times have they done that now? A good
3,
handful.
maybe 4 times if you count Arkham Viewer. I don't know.
How do we feel about the ping ponging of going between Batman flashbacks and Robin gameplay? Sort of Robin like on the trail of Batman to a certain point, and then you have that sort of investigation open world thing with Batman. You go back and forth a couple more times. Um, I don't know
I
how if it made the pacing feel worse or better, but I could definitely feel that this was a brief thing. I don't know if that heightened it at all.
I think in the main game when you're flipping between Catwoman and Batman is a lot more of a buzzkill than in this DLC because Robin and Batman play pretty similarly. So it's like kind of okay.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's all too bad. I just think the Robin sequences are a lot better than I don't like the outdoor sequence as Batman, honestly, because of like all the snipers and things like that. But I think pacing wise, it's fine since it is pretty short. This kind of just reminded me of like it feels like the same length of the sequence where you go through Penguin's museum,
Mm-hmm.
like from starting like with all the different like sequencers you have to destroy to like completing that museum. I feel like that's like a comparable length. Like it feels like this DLC is just like a dungeon, pretty much.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to frame it because it's kind of like what you were talking about with the museum right there. The conversation we were mostly having there was that it felt like the museum was one of the dedicated buildings in um, Asylum, like the penitentiary or something, or the wherever got infested with Ivy's plants at the end, like the library or whatever that was. Um, it definitely had a similar vibe in terms of the scope. I did like that we got to see a bit more diversity in like an interior for the steel mill, right? Because I feel like the steel mill, we have two major portions of city take place there, or like in the industrial park area. And this to me did feel a bit more distinct from those other areas, right? There was a lot more what felt like loading bays, like the some of the water areas, a lot of um, like transporting tunnels down there, which had like a cool, distinct look and feeling to it, I thought. But yeah, it definitely stands out as another one of those type of interiors that they did, which was good, but um, I didn't really feel like I want to explore much of it, right? And I don't think there's really much room for you to explore there. But I
I
kind of oh go ahead.
No, you can finish. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna throw in there. I do kind of like that there's no Riddler things in here, and it is a bit more directed, like a little
There
more
are no Riddler stuff.
linear. Yeah.
That's cool.
So
Yeah, I kind of like wish they made a new building or something, or like add a different interior we hadn't seen before. But I don't think DLC was as fleshed out usually at this point of time.
mhm.
But yeah,
um, were there any
feels like
other?
it could have been a good
Mhm.
opportunity for like a new villain or something like that, just for a little bit, like make it more like an episode of TV or something.
Mm,
But yeah,
that's a good point.
Mhm. Which I think is interesting. You know, looking ahead, kind of. Uh, I think post Arkham Knight playthrough, this might be a bit more of an interesting piece of this series, right? Because I mean, Arkham Knight has loads of DLC. It has an
yeah,
absurd amount of DLC, and from my understanding, I because again, I didn't buy any of it except for the Ben Affleck outfit and the Dark Knight outfit. Um, that game, I believe, has something similar to what you're saying, Omar, where there are character or like villain additions that you can get that just add other quests to that city, right? So I don't know how those are implemented, but something I'm hoping to do is I bought the Season of Infamy, which adds like a Mr. Freeze, Penguin, Killer Croc, Scarecrow, or not Scarecrow, Mad Hatter, I think, quests to the open
oh,
world. So like I've done all of the other base game quests in that game. So like I'm curious to see how those are handled differently than this, I would imagine. But um, yeah, I this is it seems like a core piece of what Rocksteady's direction was for Arkham Knight, right? Like they must have clearly enjoyed this or found success in this, looking at what they did with the next game.
yeah, the depressed Batman, right? That carries
That
on from what
too.
I remember.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Sorry, Jack. Were you gonna say something?
I was gonna be pretty negative and say that it's also it's also at the time where like DLC was at an all time like disgusting, gross
Yep.
way of distributing it to consumers, and they just flew as much stuff as they could um, possible. Like this had a season pass and things like that. I actually got the season pass. I think I played through Night last year, maybe a couple of years ago, and I got the season pass for like $10. So I think I have all the DLC. I just haven't played it.
Have you
Hmm.
played any of the DLC? Adam? See,
No,
I was
never
wondering
did.
because like I don't know anything about the DLC, but I thought maybe there was a one that you had to play as like Batgirl or something like that.
You do, yeah.
Okay, so do you think that's probably structurally pretty similar to like this then, or
I
like?
probably. I honestly don't know. I
Yeah.
think it. It's. I wonder if it's like the origin story of maybe not the origin story, but like kind of Killing Joke in a sense, like
Yeah.
how the Joker like harms Barbara. I don't think it is, but it is. I know it's like Joker and Harley Quinn versus Batgirl, but it's probably similar
Wait,
to this.
Joker?
I think so. Or is it
So
Harley Quinn?
No, it is
it
because if we recall, Oracle at this stage in her life is paralyzed, waist down. Not Batgirl. This is not Gotham Knights where she got the motivation to walk again or whatever that thing was they had in the game. Um,
Oh wait, really? That's how the I
no, that was
oh.
the initial thing, and then a lot of people like made a stink about it, and they're like, okay, we're gonna work with like disabled communities to like actually make something a bit
But
more
I missed
like
that whole
okay.
thing.
That
I thought it was like before all that, or it just didn't
no.
happen.
No,
Wow.
that is post Oracle. I think like a year ago at like the E3 thing, they were like, Bruce's death really hit her hard, and then she just, went to physical therapy. I think that's what their initial pitch was, and then I want to say I think Steven Spawn was like, "Hey, this is bad," and then they reworked it. So I mean, at least they did something about it. But yeah, no, the point is in Arkham Knight, I haven't played that Omar, but in that is a prequel
Whoa.
to all of these games, from what I
Really?
understand. Yes.
I had no idea. Okay, I'm pretty excited about that then.
Yeah,
We
and
should
I
play
think they
that.
get Hamill back, probably. Yeah.
probably yeah.
They must have, yeah.
I'd like to see I can't remember if that ever happened this night, but like a fully like modeled night CG kind of Joker acting around.
Mhm.
Like that sounds cool.
Yeah. Because from what I know, that DLC, at least judging off PlayStation Store, is a bit beefier than all the other ones. Because that one was like $7 or $8.
Is that the season of Infamy or is that a different thing?
This is a different thing.
Okay, okay.
The playable Batgirl campaign thing, or what? It's not a campaign, but like the mission sort of Harley Quinn Revenge style additional thing was 7 or 8. They had like Red Hood's Nightmare or something like that, like Red Hood's Origin. It was a GameStop exclusive pre-order bonus.
I remember that.
I don't know if I own this, but it is, I think, just like a Predator room with a little bit of story for Red Hood. The general pre-order bonus was a Harley Quinn DLC, which is probably what you're thinking of, Omar, where you did play as Harley, and I think it was like you breaking out of prison,
Ooh.
Hmm.
and it was like
Nah.
5 minutes, maybe 10. But that and the Red Hood one, I think there was a Robin and a Nightwing one as well. Those were cheaper. Those were like $2 or $3. The Batgirl one was 8. So I was like, that's what I'm thinking of what your question was. I do think that one is a bit more substantial like this, and I was going to recommend that. Hopefully, if we have time, we should actually absolutely play
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna start playing Night tonight. I'm actually quite excited.
I've already started.
Whoa.
are there any other standout things from the DLC? I know we didn't touch on this all in the main episodes about this game. Omar, you did text about this as soon as we finished recording last week, but Nick Arundel, the musical lead for the Arkham City soundtrack, and I believe Arkham
Yes.
Asylum as well. Incredible music in this game.
Is it not Elfman? Did he just do the first song? Is he the title music?
Is he credited?
Or is Danny Elfman in this at all? I'm crazy. My bad.
I don't think so.
No, my bad. I don't know. But yeah, no, the music's really great. The way they use it also is fantastic. We talk about I can't remember how I was using this episode to be honest, but if we're just correcting our wrongs,
Yeah.
the misgivings.
It's DLC. That's what it's for.
Sure. Yeah,
Right.
there's some moments where you hear that Arkham City song just randomly play during combat, or like going back into the open world where you're like, oh yeah, I'm Batman. It is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's excellent. The main menu music, if you're just sitting there for a while
So
and like
good.
it just swelling over and over, oh, it's fantastic. The music is really astounding.
Yeah, and I love when like that menu version, Jack, the full version of that kicks in like in the story, because I think the place they use it is when you're at Wonder Tower and you're like all the shit's popping off and you're just like fully sending it to get up to Hugo Strange, like with the guys with the guns and everything. That is an incredible use of that theme. And I do think it's interesting because I noticed this a while ago, like probably when I was going through the Asylum Platinum. The theme that they have for Arkham City, like that main menu one, which is a 10 out of 10, one of the best Batman themes, IMO, is building off of the theme for Arkham Asylum. Because the Arkham Asylum theme is the exact same melody. It's just way more low key. This was the one that has like the choir and like whatever else they layered into it, but it's the exact same melody, sped up a little bit more as well. But if you go to the Arkham Asylum menu, it's that same exact like that's
Oh my God.
It's really cool. It's very cool. Any other things left unsaid from the city playthrough? Because, like I said, this is DLC. We can fix whatever we missed here.
I think I'm pretty solid. I said what I had to say.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I don't know if I have too much else to say.
Mhm.
I'm at the point now where I don't like the Catwoman stuff, and I would like an option to not play that.
That'd be nice.
I replayed the final boss fight because it turns out that my Steam did not save it right after I did it, but I was okay with that. I was happy to do it again.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, they should make those boss fights like
Replayable.
accessible, like
boss rush mode.
yeah, or like you have all the Riddler challenges. Like that's surprising that they never like go back to the freeze fight and like get medals there, or like go do the Clayface fight and like get medals there. That's interesting. I wonder why they didn't do that.
I have the same problem with all the Souls games, Jack.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a fight you just want to replay and they don't let you.
You know what game lets you do that? Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
I was thinking about installing it only just today, Christian.
Lovely.
I don't have time yet, but I will do it.
I think the last thing there is to say about the DLC though is the ending of it. You go through this whole thing. Batman's in a little ball,
see,
like, waiting
that's what
to
I
die.
wanted to mention. No, he's like sitting down like this,
Yeah,
and you can't tell if he's like awake or asleep.
I thought he was like meditating.
That's what
It
I
looked
thought,
like he
too.
was like transfixed.
Yeah,
was he
It's
not?
like, oh, what's
he
that?
he's awake, but like before he gets out, I still think it's a little vague. But then but I don't know.
It reminded me of something from like Sly Cooper, like the Panda King being like knocked out, and you
Or-
had to like mind melt with him.
It reminded me a bit of Super Monkey Ball because those monkeys are in balls, and in this game, Batman is in one.
That's a good point.
Thank you.
What if that was how the DLC ended? You were Batman in that ball, and
Dude,
you had to just like
you can
hamster wheel around.
You can make an amazing boss fight with that,
Right?
concept. Like
That'd
maybe
be
call
cool.
like the bat ball or something. Has no one done that? Or like remember that Fortnite season, the balls
Yeah.
last season? That would be fun. Honestly, I probably was Batman in that ball once.
I mean, the final boss of this DLC was not really that great because the final boss for Batman was, I don't even think he had one really. Like the final boss for Robin was stopping Harley.
That was that was a poor fight, I think. Or like the health bar made zero sense because you can take her down, and then like that removes like 30% of her health,
Mhm.
and then like you can totally like knock her out, and then you got to beat the other guys first. But like, just a weird fight, I think.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Catwoman fight with Two-Face at the very end of Arkham City. You're basically doing the same thing. You're like doing silent takedowns on like the main boss and like scurrying away, taking out some other guards here and there. Not fun. The note I had at the end of the boss fight was sarcastically saying, "I wonder where Harley hid the key," because I knew exactly where she hid the key.
Yeah.
And Rocksteady was at it again.
Yeah, that was messed up.
Yeah. I was not surprised
How-
by that.
How about when you fight those robots though?
That was
was
cool.
cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad they used those
Yeah.
for like actual enemies. That was interesting.
It was cool. Yeah, I thought they were gonna be just set dressing at first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did appreciate that. It was a bummer that fight ended with, or like the second time you were in that room, it was just a Titan fight again,
Yeah.
But it was cool to see the robots. It was definitely cool to see the robots. And I like that they had their Joker paint all over them.
Yeah.
That was fun. But my final note I wrote down, I got this wrong. I wrote the wrong year, but I'll amend it. Definitely a 2012 DLC. That was my final thought on this.
That's a good point.
I can't believe because I don't know if I want to say low effort. I'm sure a lot of effort was made into making this, but the conceptually is just a little light, And I'm kind of surprised. I guess why I was so doubtful that it even was Kevin Conroy in this is because like I'm kind of surprised they got the whole cast back for this DLC.
Well, I wonder if they just recorded it and did all during the development game because
That
came out like immediately after, like 6 months after.
no, for sure, but yeah, I think you're probably right because in my mind I was like, how would he do this, but not like Arkham Origins, I guess. But yeah, no, I think DLC a lot of times was made simultaneously.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's an interesting point about this being like a 2012 DLC. There were some great DLCs back then, all the Fallout DLCs, like I said, but yeah, this is
Minerva's
definitely like,
Den.
yeah,
I
Bioshock
never
2.
played it.
Me neither. I just
I
know
know
it's
people
really
love it.
good. But this is definitely one of those like very, forgotten DLCs, kind of for a reason. Like it doesn't really add too much to Arkham City all that much.
Mhm.
I think it's, mostly good, but it's not, anything astounding.
I can't think of like a kid being like, oh, I really want to play some more Arkham City, and then like getting this and be like feeling satisfied.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was great. Thank you, Dad, or something like. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd probably I think it's like a 7. Like it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Uh it's I was excited going into it because I was like, oh cool, more Arkham City that I've never experienced before. And then I the most exciting thing about that was the bowl of chili I had like during that playthrough because I was like, okay. I like as I was like finishing up, I was like, this is fine. I'm never gonna play this again in my life.
No, you don't need to. I do like how they opted to make Robin a DLC character and not a main Arkham City character, because I think that could have been a little distracting. So I'm glad he, had his own time in the DLC. And like, go fuck around with him in the challenge rooms. Like, him and Nightwing are so fun to play.
Yeah. And I think the last like nail in the coffin for why I'll probably never touch this again is like, as we brought up, it's interesting that he's sad about what happened, right? But I think that is conveyed already in the Arkham City ending where he just kind of like carries Joker's body out the way he does, gives like respect to him, and then dips without saying anything. Um, and then I don't think it sets anything up for him in Night really, because it's not like he's, from my memory at least, still losing sleep over this. He's got his other
Well,
problems that he's got to deal with, but those are sort of tangential to this, not necessarily like, oh yeah, Joker's dead, Talia is dead. I'm upset about that, and I feel to blame for that. Knight, there's other characters that he's blaming himself for. There's another problem with the Joker he's, still like having ripple effects from, but it's nothing related to here. So, inconsequential, like you said at the top, Jack, I think.
I think had I played this before Night, maybe immediately before Night, I would have been more prepared for the different kind of voice direction at Night.
Okay.
But that's really it. But yeah, because I think when I played Night, I was like, oh, Kevin Conroy just doesn't care anymore. but I think I'm super wrong. So maybe I appreciate Night a little more playing this. I don't know.
Well, that's a plus.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm gonna feel about Night. I remember having some mixed feelings about it, and then definitely like my last playthrough like a year or two ago, I was like, nah, I don't know. There's some issues with this game. So I'm curious to see how I'm gonna feel about it.
Yeah, well, I guess I don't think we did this on episode 3. So since we have wrapped up Arkham City with this DLC now, as we sign off, uh, I think that's a good thing to touch on, right? This is where we would usually do that for another playthrough. But like the next game is Arkham Knight. We will be tackling that. And as far as release goes for that, the plan as it stands currently is that we are going to pretty much take most of November to just play through the game. It will be released towards the end of November for the discussion episode, just as one big thing, since Night is a massive open world. It is harder to break up the pace of that one because it is just kind of all out on this one design philosophy that these other games don't have. So we did a similar thing with Metal Gear Solid 5 when we did Metal Gear, so we will be doing that. Episode of Arkham Knight will be dropping, like I said, end of November. I think this will be coming out on November 7th. So for listeners, you won't be having to wait too long to get the next episode. Probably about a little bit less of the gap that there was between the final episode of Asylum and the first episode of City. So look forward to that. Catch up if you're still following along, or if you haven't started yet. But Arkham Knight, expectations, hopes, dreams, I guess, for the replay. And then if there's nothing else on your mind, sign off. Where can people find you, Jack? I'll start with you. You kind of already gave some ideas, but any other
Sure.
further ones?
Yeah. Well, you can find me on social media at Fascinated Jack. But for Arkham Knight, I don't remember really loving it when I first played it. I definitely enjoyed it, but it came out like during a summer where like Metal Gear was out, The Witcher 3 was out. Like it was just kind of overshadowed by a couple other great games. Um, but I don't know. I'm trying to go into this game with an open mind. I think the last takeaway I had from my most recent playthrough was that there are issues greater than the Batmobile in that game. I think everyone like freaks out way too much about the Batmobile. But I think there's some other problems with the writing, like the open world structure that I didn't necessarily love. So I'm interested to see how I feel now after like closely playing through the series back to back to back. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and having like the month to play through it, I think will lend to a better experience at the end. So yeah.
Very nice. Omar, what about you?
Yeah, I briefly mentioned this, I think, on the last episode, but when Night came out, it didn't run very nicely on my PC. That port was kind of atrocious. But, and to be fair, I have started a little already, so I don't want to get too into that. But I remember at the time not liking the way it ran, not really liking the way it looked, to be honest, because it has like a chromatic aberration that I was being annoying about. But now I realize it's what film should look like, so I don't know. Um, but I also remember being a Batmobile hater. Sorry, guys. And I also remember really, really not liking the direction of the writing and the story. If you remember that one trailer where that cop like shoots everyone in that diner or whatever, I think it's edgy and stupid, and I think that M rating is dumb too. Uh, I was really disappointed because at the time my son, he was 9 but could not play the game,
Uh-huh.
which was a bummer. But yeah, a little edgy. So yeah, I'm curious if it's still edgy or if I'm edgy now. And maybe I'll like it more these days. I don't know. But yeah, I have a Twitter account. It's twitter.com/OmarNACFI.
Very nice. Uh, yeah, in a similar way, 2015 was a big year for games, and Arkham Knight, I loved after the first playthrough. Absolutely had problems with the way that certain characters were integrated, and uh, you know, just the role they played. I think that Arkham City was still my favorite after I beat Arkham Knight. Batmobile, I didn't really have a problem with. I don't like how it's relied on for combat more so than like uh, traversal. But I think that it had some strengths there. And as far as like a simulating Batman game, like it was the definitive one for me after I beat it. I even at a time, I think off the rip from the first playthrough 100%ing, I put it second place. I put it above Asylum. I've since, it's since fallen. I've sort of cooled off on most of the things I really liked about the game. And I've only played it the one time, so I'm curious for the replay to see how it shakes out. But yeah, you can find me everywhere at Shun2D2. YouTube.com/joyclicks is where you can go for the video version of this podcast. It is now complete. The playlist for Arkham City's Longplay Club is now done. That is going to be listed in its own playlist next to the Arkham Asylum one, and the Arkham Knight one will go right next to that. So while you're there, you can check out all the other shows we got going up on there, other video uploads. But if you want the audio version and you're not subscribed yet to the Longplay Club on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere you get podcasts, just look up Batman Arkham Podcast, Batman Longplay Club, Joyclicks. You'll find it. Rating and reviewing is a very easy way to help the show. If you enjoy it, it takes a quick second to leave a 5-star review or a little blurb, which we appreciate very much. And if you want to support the shows, you can do so monetarily on patreon.com/joyclicks at the $1 and $5 tiers. Much like Aaron Easton and Jose Garcia, you'll get producer credit for every show we produce. So thank you very much. Once again, that is Batman Arkham City. We'll be back in just a couple weeks with a big, beefy discussion on Batman Arkham Knight, and then ho ho ho, the holidays await with the little Batman Noel inspiration right there. That's what they did there, I think. So that's it for this one. We'll be back. Any good Harley Quinn Joker revenge sign off. Anything we got?
I think Christian, you or Omar should give the night night as our sign off.
Christian, you got it.
Night night.